Hello, hi everyone. It's been a while. I was out here picking what we currently have left still growing around the farm, and I thought I'd do a little tour. So as you can see, we still have some yarrow growing in a variety of different places, and calendula. I think next year I might add some of that towards the end of the season so that I continue to have some flowers in the garden, specifically up along the roadside. But everything's still pretty green. And it is the end of November here. So happy holiday if you celebrated. We have added some new things, and I'll take you along. There's some more yarrow. We changed up this bed over here, so you can see over there it's all wooden beds. We changed over here because the two wooden beds that were right here were falling apart, unfortunately. So we were able to salvage one, so we will have that for next year. But this is now galvanized steel, I think it's called. That's the type. And it's a Vigo bed. We have a mixture of Birdie's beds and Vigo beds. It just depends on what deals we have. This right here is covered with frost cloth, and that is our snapdragons that are overwintering. Our hardiness zone actually officially changed. I don't know if folks have seen that, from a zone 7A to a 7B, which I had already been operating as we were a 7B for the last couple of years, so no big deal. As you can see, some of the Lisianthus is now starting to die back. It came back last year, and actually in here, there's some snapdragons that are coming up. I don't know. Oh, geez. I don't know if you can see them. They're right there. Seed must have gotten over there, so okay. This whole bed is our tulip bed. 1,700 tulips in this bed, which is a 4x12. And then I left Statice in this 4x4 bed just to keep greenery in it. I wasn't going to plant anything in it, so let it die back naturally if it does. I don't know. Last year some Statice stayed around for a long time, so we'll see. This little pot here had some calendula, the orange ones, in there. And apparently there's a yarrow in there. Didn't know that got in there, but it did have basil as well. It was kind of just something I threw up here because I had space. This is larkspur, which likes the cold, so we are growing that in the fall for early spring blooms. I didn't have a lot of seeds. I just kind of sprinkled them around in a manner that was stated on the back of the packet. You should sort of spread the inches between, so I did that as best as I could. Wasn't sure if those were going to germinate because they were older seed and someone had gifted them to me. These plants over here are honesty plants, which are really, really pretty, and great for dried flowers. Also something to sow in the fall because it's considered a biennial. I think one of them kind of fizzled out, but I think there's another one right there. I still planted it because those were tinier than these, because why not? You never know what's actually going to come up in the spring. So if you remember, this bed was actually a wooden L-shaped bed. We now have a smaller, it kind of looks like a heart, L-shaped bed in that galvanized, and it's taller as well, so less kneeling down. I think I'm going to do Lisianthus in here. I'm going to change up what I normally grow. I normally do sunflowers in this area, so I think I'm going to do Lisianthus here next year, and I'm going to work on doing sunflowers, some in maybe some of these wooden beds over here. Bunch of our anemones came up, and they actually did really well coming up by themselves last year. So I may put some frost cloth on top of them if necessary, but probably not. I will likely put insect netting though, because a lot of the early spring bugs like them. Me and my little niece, Sade, planted some nigella, so you can see that actually starting to come up. It was very warm for a very long time, so I didn't plant out the nigella in October like I have done in the past, because it was still too warm. It was still 70 at the beginning of November. So planted that out a little bit later and had Sade help me out. We are going to put another small size bed, probably around the size of like 2 by 3.5, 4-ish in this area, since that bed got smaller. And we'll likely also bring some of our potato bags up in the front here as well. We gave the wooden L-shaped bed to our neighbors, and we're gonna, I'm gonna jointly grow with them some vegetables. So they have a new raised bed in their front yard. Over here we had, what is it called? Mums. And they just took over the area, and like this was huge. And they were flopping everywhere. They weren't the best, and they honestly didn't last for very long. So I opted to take those out for some of the perennials that we had already had in here. You'll see some of my irises are coming up, so I need to cover them with some soil, because it's not time for them to do that. I transplanted a rosemary plant, which is right here, which is very well here. Stays green pretty much all winter. It was in a green stalk and it had gotten pretty big, so I transplanted it up here. Rosemary is really good in like boutonnieres and stuff, because it doesn't really need much water to stay looking nice. We still have some flowering of this kind of standard Rudbeckia back here. Most of it has died off, and then these Supertunia bubblegum vistas are still blooming and still looking good, even though it's gotten colder, so we're going with it. My neighbor, apparently some tomatoes from my yard, seed got over here, and it's still growing tomatoes. I don't know, I think it's well protected, but it kind of became this viney situation, and these were black strawberry tomatoes. So it is over here and vining to its fullest potential. Okay, so we still have some yarrow coming out here, so I've been picking from that as well. And then in this bed, I did plant some, I think it was Bells of Ireland, I think. And I don't know if it's going to come up, but we'll see. It might have been too late. I just kind of went with it. And this was a few weeks ago. But this bed, for the most part, it's a 4x8 bed. It has campanula in it, different colors. And some of the straw seeds, which is fine. It doesn't bother any of the plants, but these are still looking really good. They will die back and come back early spring as well. This bed here with our little trellis, I need to cut down these pepper plants because they are done, and I'll let the roots and stuff die naturally into the soil. But I threw out some cover crop. It's very patchy. It was older cover crop. I wasn't necessarily trying to have a successful cover crop. I just wanted to throw some down because I had it, get it out of the house, and it doesn't hurt. But in this front portion of this leveled bed, we have some hyacinths growing. I'm actually going to do outdoor hyacinths and indoor hyacinths. I have hyacinths in our refrigerator chilling so that I can take them out around February, probably March, to hydroponically start them and have those as something that can be purchased, similar to like what we do with our paperwhites. This is the blue wheat that I planted fairly late, so it didn't produce any of the wheat tops I was looking for earlier, like I wanted, but we got a lot of bug action on them. Oops, it's a little too close. A lot of bug action on them, so I'm just kind of letting them go, see what happens, let them die off naturally. It is what it is. These Calibrachoa still looking great. I mean, for it being the end of November and we've gotten a few frosts, not hard frosts, but a few. We do have some straw flower. Next year I'm going to grow a lot more straw flower, especially if I can keep it going and keep some green in the garden. These were actually planted later, so they were a second crop of straw flower. And I just picked some, which you can see right there. They're growing slower, so you're not getting as many flowers as you do kind of in the summer, but I'm going to make sure to have multiple successions of these, but also grow some bigger areas of straw flower for next year, I think. We took out all the dahlias. Me, took out all the dahlias over here, and I've moved them to a bed in the back. This I'm going to try to make a perennial area with Veronica and Eryngium, but mostly Veronica. I don't know how well they're going to do. They're looking a little weak right now. I'm hoping that they will flourish come spring, and more of them are going to be delivered in the spring. These came for an early fall planting. Strawberries, looking good in the strawberry bed. And these are protected strawberries, are eating strawberries, I guess you could call it. Blackberry has been trimmed back. It's doing well on its lovely trellis. And we got, oh gosh, gallons and gallons and gallons of blackberries this year. And we're looking forward to having gallons and gallons next year too. I think we just finished using the last gallon that we had, and we made so much stuff. Steve has them every morning, so it went well. You'll notice our loofah is down. It grew 30 plus feet and produced 31 loofahs that I dried, and we now have for purchase. If you are local in the area, we have either a 7-inch like full-size loofah piece if you would like that for $7, or $8 for me to make it into a sponge sewn with some cotton cord. But I will be growing loofah definitely again in this area. It did very well, and trellising it using the deck was one of the best decisions I've ever made. And it was paired with some strawberries, which are still around. But this bed did amazing, and it was a very good size. I've learned that loofah likes deeper beds. I was in a shorter bed previously, and it didn't do as well. So we will keep that in mind for the future. I need to do some weeding along this back fence here. But these are all the Rudbeckias. We're going to see if they come back. If they don't, no big deal. I have saved some seed. I have new seed, so I will be starting a bunch of Rudbeckia, and we'll see if I can plant it, where I'm going to plant it, all those different types of things. But if not, no big deal. Rudbeckia is great because it produces a lot of flowers, quicker than a sunflower, and looks like a sunflower, and fits quite nice into a bouquet. So why not plant a lot of it? As you can see, need to do more weeding here and cleaning up a little bit. These hostas need to be cut back, but we have some yarrow along here. We do have some giant mums as well. They did all right over here. I don't know if I'm going to keep them or not. We'll see. These old lighting trays, they do quite well with herbs, so we have some thyme here, and we had some marigolds in here as well. They were covered by loofah, so some of this was not as green and nice, but we have 2 of them, so there's one up there and then one here. And the hanging baskets also did very well. And these planters from Gardener's Supply that hang off the side of the deck also did great with dwarfed cherry tomatoes, which I'll be doing definitely again. Feverfew, still looking green and lush and big. I could probably split it, but I'm not going to. I didn't get a lot this first season, so I'm hoping that next season I will get more. We have a in-ground bed of Statice, which looks good. So it'll die out most likely, but we'll see what happens. I'm just leaving it because it's green, and why not? And then you'll see there's some eucalyptus in there, and it's hanging on. So I'm curious to see what it will do without being covered or protected. So I'm just gonna test it out, but I do have more eucalyptus seeds that I can grow. And this 2x12 bed, I took a lot of dahlias that were in here. I had come back from last season. Next season, I'm probably going to sprinkle and do all the poppies over here. I did some poppies over here this past season, so I'll probably do all the different varieties that I have, see what I get. And there is a cupcake echinacea, I think, and a echinopsis in there, but I don't know if that echinopsis made it. Sometimes when you get it from garden centers, you never know. This is Cresspedia, Billy Balls, Sunball. We still have some that are coming up. It is still holding on and nice and green. I don't know if this is going to come back. I don't know if it's going to be completely die. We're just going to see. I didn't pull it. We had peppers and cucumbers over here. The peppers did really well. We will likely do that again in this bed. And then back here we have these raised beds that they were just attacked by squirrels. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I tried to do radish. I tried to have something along this bed, but the squirrels are heavy back here. There's heavy squirrel pressure back here, and they dig into everything. So at one point, I just changed it to like an annual, and that might be what I do, is just put some annuals back here. I actually might get a smaller bed as well, but I do like that it's raised up, and this is the type of bed I'd like to be able to get for my neighbor so that she doesn't have to bend down. I moved a mum to this back corner. I think it'll do fine back here. I did have violas back here because it gets shaded in the summer, and that was one of the big giant mums. It'll do fine, and it'll make this corner quite pretty. I need to take in our umbrella and our chairs. I have a lot of greenhouse cleaning to do, and a bunch of weed stuff. We took down our fountain, but we have lavender, which is just one we've had for a couple of years. That's new lavender that I grew on my own. There's another lavender plant that I grew on my own, and another one. And then I also had some along that deck area up there. They're small. They were small this year, but I got a lot of stems off of them for them being so small. So we're going to see how they overwinter and if they are a little bit more robust next year. Gladiola Island over here, they did all right. I think I'll eventually get different beds. These two will be different beds, and it'll just be a different situation over here. But for now, this wood's fine, so we're keeping it moving. This strawberry patch has dwindled. The strawberries, they didn't do their best there, and these are the areas, this one and this one, that Lillian likes to harvest her own strawberries. In this planter, we had a very, very productive Carmen red pepper. Apparently, we have a cat visitor. I think this is a neighborhood cat named Oliver. Does not live here. I'm not a cat person. I am a dog person. But he's apparently very friendly, hence why he is coming over to me. And I think he likes to hide back in our neighbor's yard. But this was our tomatoes. I tried to throw down some cover crop. It's mildly successful, but we always do some sort of vining crop here or something that attached to this trellis. I did have a cucumber attached to this trellis this past year. I'm going to try it again. It didn't do the best, but we'll see. Oop, there's my flower stems. Sorry about that. these 2 rounds and those 2 beds there have garlic in them. So we're going to have over, I think, 100 cloves of garlic if it works out in my favor. Hello, Oliver. You're okay. Bye. You're not getting my flowers. Okay. These 2x4 beds back here don't have anything overwintered in them this year. Last year they had anemones, but they had peppers this year, and the peppers did amazing in this area. So hopefully next year we have another good another good year for peppers. And then these are 2 new beds back here. We used to have a 4x12 wooden bed, and that just rotted out. I did notice that we have roots coming in, so they come in at the bottom of the beds here, likely from the tree in our neighbor's yard. It is what it is. So I try to practice no-till, but my plants suffer when I don't get those tree roots that are stealing all of the nutrients and space out of the bed. This is a dahlia bed. Most of it is full, but I have a few dahlias that I purchased, I think, from Triple Wren Farms that will be coming next year, and so that will finish out this bed, and I will do some sort of system to stake so that they aren't topply. This is an overwintering bed. We have some Rudbeckia in here. We have Campanula, Canterbury Bells, and Sweet William. This is my first time trying out Sweet William, so we'll see how that goes. And then, like I said, I have garlic here. We took down all of our green stalks, which are usually in a variety of different areas around the farm. I think there's usually a green stalk pad somewhere in here, but maybe I moved that one because people were stepping on it and tripping on it, but I normally have a green stalk pad there. But right now, not much is going on. I do need to dump out this wagon because it rained a lot. Back here we have some calendula. These were volunteers, so I just kind of left them because this is the lilac area, and this had peppers in it, some gladiolas and cosmos that came up themselves as well. We'll work on getting better at flowers in the landscape, but I've been focusing on the raised beds mostly. But we'll get that all reined in the future. And then over here, I do need to prune back peonies. This is an area that needs to get addressed. These, not my favorite daylilies, but they also have lots of weed in them. Our rain barrel is full from the rain that we had on Tuesday. It's kind of crazy. But these peonies and all these hostas along here, I'm going to trim those back because they are dead for the season. Steve is going to be working on for next season. We are going to have multiple rain barrels, and they're going to be in a tiered system along this side of the house. Since this is the no sun side of the house, we have hostas here, which they will still be able to be underneath the tiered system, but we don't really put too many plants over on this side of the house anyways. We do have some hellebores over here, and this side is the one side that does get sun. So we have peonies and some gladiolas there, but nothing super special. I'm slowly trying to do more hellebores. That's really kind of what I've been working on getting over here. And not much else. Our compost bin for our city, our waste bins. And then we need to do a little bit of repairs on my flower wagon cart stand, if you will. It's a little wobbly. I think it's because it fell over in a storm at one point in time. And then I recently purchased some lanterns that I can hang on the side or on these edges right here because it does get darker now. And if I keep things out in the evenings, especially while people are walking, they might be able to still shop. And I might find like a motion censored light for inside of here so that it could then shine on. We'll see. But I got solar lanterns for over here that I am working on getting up. But I think we need to fix the stand first. Well, that is pretty much it. Not, anything spectacular going on around here, but still green. So we'll see what December brings. If you're looking for Bouquet Club, if you're local to College Park, Maryland, that is now open on our website, littlewaltersflowerfarm.com. I will be putting out soon some dried flower wreaths. We did dried flower pumpkins. Next season, I'm hoping to do some workshops for seed starting. So stay tuned and hope you stay well this season. Toodles.